We're live.
Oh, okay. No, it's just my phone.
Do it when you're ready. We're just living in your world.
I don't want that to be the case.
You don't want to live in Ben's world?
I don't. No, I'm not positive. I want to live in my world next day. So I think it's unfair to thrust that upon anyone else. Poor suspecting suckers.
I'm not set up properly. I have a different. I don't know. The spacing is all weird. We're fine on camera. I mean, as good as we can be.
Yeah.
You know, here we are. Hey, welcome to the Center and Saint podcast, and we are nailing it with the details. Checks and balances across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the podcast where you feel better about yourself because we're just a couple of miserable lackeys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's Ben and Patrick coming into the Center and Saint podcast. What are we, 54?
Oh man, you know what? I updated the stuff yesterday, and then I slept last night.
Good for you. It's good for
you.
you.
I tried to sleep last night, and then now
then you're here.
Sure.
You're figuring it out like me. So yeah, I think we're 54-ish in this.
I think so. Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? I can tell you. Hang on. You keep talk amongst yourselves. As my friend Fred likes to say, the gala was neither gay nor la. Discuss.
Whoa, wow.
So, we are. Today is episode 55. 55.
Wow.
Girlfriend's age 55. My IQ is 55. 5'5" is 50. Is 50. Is 50. Is strong. 55. 55. Welcome into episode 55.
Killing it.
Eddie, can you help us out of this, buddy? At all? Do you know if you can?
Eddie, bring the class, buddy. Bring the class. Or don't.
Yeah.
Time to get a drink.
Oh.
Just a little drink.
I need a big one.
And a little drink.
Any little drink. This is you got special glasses here.
So
You brought. I realized I need to learn what different type of glasses are for drinks.
perhaps. Now,
Sláinte.
Today we're having a Milano. This is actually I've never had it.
Alyssa Milano.
This is equal parts Campari and sweet vermouth. And when I tasted it just a moment ago, I was like, "Oh, this is a lot better than I thought it was going to be."
Were you nervous?
No, I don't know what fear is, but yeah. No, so we have new glasses because I cleaned out my garage yesterday morning, and I had glassware in my garage from COVID. When we used to have happy hour, we had social distancing happy hour in my garage during COVID. Because if you remember those early days, none of us knew what was going on. We were all paranoid to be like in each other's homes.
I had to keep it on the DL.
We didn't know what the disease was, the virus was. So yeah, I was like, oh, these were great little glasses. Good. Yeah, it's ergonomic. Yeah.
I feel like I'm holding my wife.
Mm-hmm.
The small of her back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have a moment. Just give me a moment.
Cammy, I'll take those glasses away. I'm sorry, I did not think that the glassware could support.
It's even cold like her. It just feels right.
Oh my god, you gotta be nice to your wife. You've got a good wife.
I know. That's a nice drink.
Yeah, it's not bad.
What kind of glass is that?
No, this would just be a rocks glass. This doesn't have a specific name.
All right, I had to make sure. Well, I went to an event the other day, and they had the slowest bartender in the world.
Oh, that's not a good event.
No, it was not. It was killing everything. And I ordered a sidecar, and it came in a cocktail glass.
What do you mean?
Like when if you were to get a Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
And not a tumbler.
Wait. Oh, like in a martini glass.
Martini glass. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
So, like I said, I need to learn.
No, you're good.
I need to learn the names.
Yeah, no.
And I was like,
a sidecar should come in a tumbler.
Yeah, because when she served it, and I'm not in it. Yeah, I'm not sure she made it correctly, and it's always interesting when the bartender's like, "What's in that again?" And you're like,
yeah.
Can I just come back and put that together for me?
A few years ago, some friends, we went to dinner, and the same thing. I ordered a sidecar, and we were at a table, not at the bar, and so their server comes back and is like, the sidecar. What is it that you wanted? And I was like, it's a It's a sidecar.
It's
And so like,
yeah,
I literally send the guy back with the recipe. And I'm like, here's what I'm looking for. I didn't get one. I don't know what I got, but it wasn't that. And I was like, and this was a nicer place.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should know better. I mean, it's not like a high-end steakhouse, but I'm like,
yeah, and
you should know what you're doing.
come on, we have phones. Like, it doesn't take anything to be like, okay, I've not heard that one. Let me just check here.
And every single bar in America
It's going to have your basics.
It has a
And
bartender's
there's not a
book
lot.
under the
Oh,
counter.
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a bartender's book in alphabetical order.
Really?
So if someone says, I want a sidecar, you can go to S, you can
Oh.
quickly find sidecar and know how to make it. You're just being lazy.
Maybe they didn't know how to spell. Maybe they're just like,
Sidecar, that's a silent C? Is that where that starts?
probably.
Silent
That's
C?
probably sounds about right.
Sidecar.
Yeah, it was. The event was. It was held at the Sanctuary on Penn.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been there? It's old church.
That's cool.
It was a very cool,
That's cool.
venue.
Yep.
One I had not been to before.
Yeah.
And the bartender, yes, I was like, first of all, you need 2 bartenders, but it was taking her literally 5 minutes to like, the line had like 5 or 6 people in it, and I was like, well, I'll just wait till I don't need to stand in line. Like,
Never died down.
it never. And when I looked over there, I was like, oh, well, people keep getting in line, and I'm like, nope, same people. None of them moved. I'm like,
Yeah, and those events, what I've seen be really successful with those events, if there's only one bartender, is they put up a little placard that's, here are the 4 drinks you can order.
right, yeah, streamlined
And
a little
yep,
bit.
So you're looking, and they've got a lot of stuff prepped, and so it makes it really easy for them just to be like,
And it was a well-stocked bar. It was full floor to ceiling with the various things, but
yeah.
and she's like, well, they just reorganized the bar, and she's like, so I'm not sure exactly where everything is, and I was like,
That sounds right.
okay, yeah, you certainly seem lost. I'll give you that. So, and we'll blame we'll blame those people, whoever those people. But it was a beautiful wedding. It was
Great day, Laura.
yeah. It was a black wedding actually, which was also kind of nice.
Black tie, like the whole thing was done up to the ninth?
Well, the bride wore a black dress, which was brought a certain level of class to the event. I was like,
like
very nice, very nice. Yes.
Sinner.
Yeah, well, you know.
We've recently been watching the Insidious series, and not series, it's movies.
Okay.
It's like a series of movies, and one of the dead is the bride in black. So
okay.
So when you said that's very fitting because we just watched that last night. We watched the bride.
I'll never
in Black.
watch those.
You won't?
No, Cammy can't handle it, and she can't even handle overhearing the music from another room. So like, I have to do that.
I'm lucky in that regard.
I have to do that when I'm alone or whatever.
Yeah, I got one who loves those. Now, I got to watch Young Frankenstein alone, which sucks. That movie makes me laugh. So
Walk like this.
Yeah.
You have is this a new hat? Mm-mm. Oh, I was hoping that you were going to tell me you bought an Indian motorcycle.
No, I would. This is it's alive and free, right? Is that the motorcycle?
Yeah. I don't know what the hat is.
But
it says motorcycle.
Yeah, they're a motorcycle company that does clothing. Not motorcycles. They do motorcycle clothing though, so they'll.
Clothing's not nearly as fun to ride.
What's that?
No, that's not true. Clothing is not as fun to ride.
Oh yeah. High school Ben says different.
Well, take it for a spin.
Speaking of, my high school reunion was recently.
Oh, did you go?
Nope.
Oh, good.
They held it.
Good
and I
for
got
them.
invited.
Yeah.
One of the guys who reached out to me was really funny because he was like, I just got a random text that was like, hey, is this Ben Ford? And normally I'm like, nope, not falling into this trap, ex-girlfriend. And it turns out he and I started talking, and he was like, yeah, we just kind of figured you died. And I was like, what? Why did you think I died? And now, don't get me wrong, I went to a very small school, and when I planned our 10-year reunion, like 9 or 10 were already dead.
Oh.
And like, well, I only graduated with like 60 kids.
From what?
One was like a military, he was a veteran that got killed in action. 3 or 4 were overdoses, a couple were suicides, car accident. One guy has died since then later on. Oh, actually, a few more have died since then. But yeah, like his was just like
it's kind of dark.
Yeah,
I'm not laughing at their death.
No,
like,
like
we're just
that percentage of people that like all went to grade school and high school together, and like that many are dead. It's there's
like,
something
in the water.
Yeah. The Big Blue River is dark. So yeah. No, I didn't go, but it was real nice to be invited.
Yeah. So well, it's interesting that you planned the 10th, and then you're like, "That's it, I'm done."
Yeah, yeah.
Were you the
I was the class president. I was.
Oh, look at you!
And 18-year-old Ben was really smart because right before I left, I went to the office and got a rundown of everybody's name and address and phone number. And most of the people's parents hadn't moved on.
Sure.
And so I was just like, "Hey, is Kevin there?"
Trying to track him down. Yeah. Sure.
And so we had, I think at the time 51 were still alive and like 48 showed up to the 10-year, and it was really good. But
you planned it. I mean, which is why the 10 years, the 25 years stunk.
So this was pretty funny too. So I didn't know enough to not just like project when I was 28. So we had booked this venue back in like near our hometown called the Arts Garden, and this guy is like local businessman who was like pretty high roller, like flexing all over town kind of guy. I get a call one day from like his assistant, and it's some kid who's just like, "Hey, Mister, he would like to have the Arts Garden that night," and I'm like, "Well, I've already put a deposit, so can't have it.
Yeah,
bye."
Right.
So this kid keeps bugging me. I was like, "Why am I talking to you? Like, put the guy on the phone who makes the choices."
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not dealing with you anymore, Billy. And come to find out, this guy knew a country band and had already booked the country band for that venue that night that I had the reservation already on and the deposit. So like the city wasn't going to let him do that because our class reunion was there that night. Well, the guy was also in bed with another restaurant. Like he and a guy were co-owning a restaurant. Sure. He was doing the business. Guy was a chef. And so I negotiated with him. I was like, "Okay, well then we're going to have our class reunion for free with an open bar at your restaurant.
Right.
And you can have the Arts Garden."
Have the Arts, yeah.
He's like, "We're not going to do that." I was like, "All right, well then you tell Diamond Rio to cancel."
Yeah.
And so yeah, and I have to think like at the end of the day he was probably just like, "How did this freaking hick talk me out of food and beverage because I told too many lies and got myself in over my head?" But actually planning that was a little bit of it just wasn't a lot of fun.
Sure.
Because there was kind of a local bar that like a lot of the other people were lobbying like, "Hey, let's have it there." And I'm like, "But we have to pay here, we can have it for free. Like, let's just charge people $20, put that money in the account, let it grow for the next 10 years and redo it again, and like we can have it there." And they really fought me hard on it, and I was a jerk, 100%.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Executive decision, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're having it here, come if you like." And then I promptly resigned after that and was like, "This is it. I'm never doing another reunion."
You idiots.
But yeah, I guess it went off pretty well. They said it wasn't a real good turnout, but I'm alive, pretty good.
Hey,
so still
made another year.
Still living,
kicking.
Yeah. Sorry, I hogged the first segment here.
No, we're glad. We're glad. This is a chance for you to get things off your chest. You know.
Have you ever gone to any of your class reunions?
Never. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Part is that I'm 2 states away, so that makes it easy to decline.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted to, a couple of them, but I think at this point it'd just be so weird. I'm so not like I don't stay in contact with anybody from high school.
Yeah.
Life is different for all of us, I'm sure.
Sure.
I don't know. I wouldn't oppose to it, but I probably also wouldn't put a lot of effort or money into making it happen. So. Yeah,
and I had planned on going originally, so like I sent my money in, and was like, I'll still support it, and I had planned on going, and I'm bad about this, like, and you've called me on this before, that I can be a little flaky sometimes, and the reason I can be flaky is because on
don't care.
Yeah, because on Tuesday morning when you're like, "Hey, let's go to our class reunion on Saturday," I'd be like, "Cool." And then Saturday rolls around, and I feel like a lot of work.
Tuesday me that wanted to go is different than Saturday me that's now the time is here.
Tuesday me who was willing to talk to people has now met Saturday me who wants to sit outside on a beautiful fall day and have a cigar and not talk to anyone.
Yeah. So. I had a friend the other day, good friend, who was just like, I just don't like having to have conversations about people's lives who I don't know, and I don't care. Like we're not. This isn't going to be something new, so I don't need to necessarily know this information. Nope. And I've kind of always been that way. I've always been like I hate small talk. Like I'm not. I can do it. Yeah. But I'm getting worse at it too, which is there's a lot. I'm working on. I'm trying to look at the mirror. Right.
You're growing.
Well, I don't know if I am. That's the problem.
You're stagnating.
I just am around. I'm around people who are older than me, probably 15, 20, 25 years older than me, and everybody seems to get grumpier as they get older.
Oh, I have.
And I'm like, I don't want to be a grumpy old person. Like, so I'm kind of looking at that and being like, okay, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
So it's probably stuff I need to work through the therapist with and process a little bit. And
it's interesting you say that, though. My wife and I were at dinner last night, and she's in the middle of a staycation that she's booked herself, and so
good for her.
Yeah, so she's
she works hard.
Yeah, she's focusing on just like some specific stuff that she wants to do, like mentally, physically, like self-care stuff too.
Great.
But one of that was she wanted a nice dinner out. So we went to a fancy dinner last night, and we're chatting, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm just fine." She's like, "You just like seem like you aren't as social as you used to be." And I was like with you or what? And she was like, "No, just like I feel like you used to go out more, and like you're just kind of around the house a lot more." And I was like, "Oh." Yeah, and so like we talked through it, and it was easily identifiable. It was just she hadn't seen what transition had happened that kind of made that part of it. And so, but I brought you up, and I brought some other friends up, and I was like, I'm just
tired of seeing those people as much as I was. So
I still see all of those people with the same regularity. There's just one of my friends is in a transition right now, and he and I used to see each other a lot more than we do.
Right.
And so I was like, I think that's what it is like I don't hang out with him as much as I used to. And so now you're just like
feels
like
a vacuum, yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, but now I'm hearing like getting things done and like reevaluate. Yeah. Like so, I came to her the other day, and I was like, hey, yeah, we're gonna cancel the mosquito guy. And she's like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I got this. We're going to save money.
Yeah.
And she was just like, okay. And so, like, I bought a fogger. So now I'm just doing my own fogging.
There you go.
And I was like, thanks, Amazon Prime Deals Day or whatever. Like,
is it a chemical? What do you fog with?
Yeah, so it's actually, think of like a small leaf blower. Mm-hmm. And so,
yeah, I know what they look like, but I don't know what you put in it.
Oh, yeah. It comes with, like, insecticide.
Okay.
And so you put insecticide in the reservoir, and then you screw the butane tank or the propane tank in the back, and then it takes a couple minutes to heat up. But as soon as it does, when that insecticide hits the heat, it turns to fog, and you fog.
How long does it
last? We're gonna find out.
Okay.
Because I fogged yesterday.
I bought the ones that you hook up to the garden hose and spray the yard with, and they're supposed to work for like 30 days or 60 days or something, and they seem to work pretty well. But I'm always like, what am I killing?
Yeah,
space.
Most insecticide applications should last 20 to 30 days, from the research I've done. But these guys this service we had. They started getting greedy, and they would start coming like every week or two.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, come on.
You're paying per application.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, guys, we just had this done. You should have that on your chart. But it was fun because when I did it under my deck, all the fog started coming up through the deck, and I was like, oh,
that's pretty cool. Like, I'm putting the fog machine under the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about being grumpy. I'm going to roll back a little bit to the conversation.
Sorry.
No.
It's the mosquito.
No, I asked. Talking about, being grumpy, and I'm recognizing that in myself. And there's been an interesting, our older two are off to college, and the youngest one who's 16 still at home. But I would say we're probably within the last 2 weeks probably came in and kind of found our groove. Like we've kind of found new equilibrium for us.
Yeah.
It's been kind of good and kind of fun and enjoyable and fun to be us again as a couple. But we were doing something the other day. I can't remember if it was the morning or whatever. But we were in the same space, and I was just razzing her, or razzing myself or something, and I just kind of started like sharing an interior monologue, like out loud, and it was negative and kind of whatever, but it was self-talk, like reflection of myself,
self-deprecation.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And she kind of like she was in the closet in our room. And she kind of peeks her head back through, and she's like, "Are those the thoughts in your head?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Those are pretty dark." And I'm like, "Yeah. Welcome to my world. Like that's what lives in there." She's like, "Maybe you need to work on that." And I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough." But like,
Talkspace, BetterHelp, not sponsors, but very, very helpful. Yeah, good resources.
The inner critic is alive and well, and even if they're not, just because it has a voice doesn't mean. The voice gets control, but still, like, those are the narratives that have guided me through life. And yes, they don't just disappear. You can do the work to help identify them, to help silence them, but they're in there. We
had a similar conversation the other day where my wife was just so exhausted by everything. I think like just life had won, and she was like, "Do you ever just think about like?" Would you really leave much behind if you were gone? And I was like, oh, all the time. I was like, oh, yeah, let's go. Let's talk death. And so, but I was like, oh, yeah, like there's no legacy. I've left nothing behind. I was like, if I die, who cares? Like, my friends this podcast might suffer briefly until
I've got a waiting list of people who are ready to step in.
I think you and Ari could really put
Ari
this thing.
Kill it. Yeah, it was her birthday yesterday.
Happy belated, Ari.
Yeah.
But no, and so we had like this really honest conversation about nothing really matters, and it's like
nothing really matters to me.
Yeah, it was good. Like it was cathartic for her, I think, because it made her feel like, oh, I'm not alone. Like other people have these thoughts and feelings too, and like we still get up every day, we still make the bed, we still brush our teeth, we still live,
right?
But like we don't have like a narcissism, I guess, that feeds into I'm giving so much to the world that like the world would really miss me if I like that irreplaceableness in a time when we're all the star of the show, right? Like everybody's the main character.
Yeah.
But it was, I think for her, she was embarrassed to have had those thoughts, and then I was like,
yeah, there's certainly a shunning of having open dialogue about those things, and I get it. Yes, there is some vulnerabilities to those conversations, but for me, like I sit closely in the world of death with my career, I'm not removed from it any moment.
Sure.
It can
you can get a phone
show
call
up
and
show up as a part of my daily rhythm.
Yeah,
and some of that, again, being where I've been for coming up on 21 years, like I've gone. You have to know how to deal with it, but there's also this kind of reality of like, you also have to compartmentalize it, right? I've gone from sitting with a family in death to sitting with a family who had a newborn or was celebrating life in some other way, and you're like, this is it. This is life. Like this is the full spectrum, and it's very fragile. Like Ecclesiastes is great. Most people understand life is meaningless. But the better translation is life is vapor. Like it's just vapor. Like it's here for a moment, and so being present, being mindfulness. It's cliche, but carpe diem is very much like seize the day. Not in the sense of like take what you can get, but like be present.
That's my bad, guys.
Yeah, be present in it. Be aware. Pay attention.
Yeah.
So
And
death's so scary. Like we've made death so commercial, and so artificial that we think it has to happen in a hospital, and it doesn't. Shouldn't. Like death should just happen, and you should use medicine as you care to to keep it as comfortable as possible.
Sure. Yeah, and it's, I mean, not to dumb that down, but like we already do that with animals, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh man,
like,
we
will give our animal anything to make their death more comfortable.
We're more humanitarian with
yeah,
our pets.
We are
than we are with our fellow humans.
Yeah, and I mean, having a dog that got old and needed some help along the way, like man, my dog was on like dog morphine for the last couple months of his life just to help with achy joints.
Yep.
So now when he died, I took the rest, and it did not have the same effect. So it was
that was a party like none other.
That's a lot of diarrhea, guys. I'll tell you that. So I'm just kidding. I had diarrhea, but I never took the dog drugs. So I don't know where we're at on time. I kind of love just diving in because we didn't talk much. We ate lunch before we started.
We did,
so
yeah.
We talked
so we're coming in hot,
I
we're
like
25
that.
in, so we got 20 to go.
Oh, yeah.
Keep unpacking.
We could, okay. I didn't know if you wanted to do the format of Sinner and Saint moments.
Well, yeah, I didn't saw that. We've been dancing around.
Oh, yeah,
We've kind of been... but yeah, if you've got specifics, feel free to dive in. I mean, my Sinner moment was exactly that, of like that inner critic.
Yeah.
And I think oftentimes I had a spiritual director who really helped me understand that, who kind of guided me. She's like, imagine you have a conference table and all the voices in your head are voices around the conference table, and name those. Yeah. Like if you can go through and identify what the different voices are, right? And like I went through and gave them real names. Like I'm like, oh, that's Negative Nelly, and that's Debbie Downer, and like that's all these and whatever. And they're like, and then identify like when do they speak? Like when do you often hear that inner critic show up? And then and this was a process, right? But then also was when think about that what they're saying to you, because usually they say one thing, right? You're it's not going to be as fun as you think it is, or you don't deserve it, right? They only say one thing, but they say it over and over and over and over again. And the invitation that she gave me, she was, now go back, see if you can go back through your life and identify when did you first hear that narrative? Who said that narrative? What was the context of that narrative? And then she says, as you go through that process and you kind of identify those roots, now you can silence that voice. Now you can be like, you can get to sit at the board table, but you don't get to talk. Like, you don't have power over this. And it just the sense of empowerment. So I do that from time to time to just kind of go through and be like, okay, like, who are the voices that are speaking loudly in the season of my life that are derailers? And
Negative Nelly, vote by proxy.
Yeah, can you just sing more Nelly the rapper songs? Like, I just need some more. It's hot in here, and switch it up, Nelly. Come on.
That's funny. Yeah, those are good ones.
So I'd encourage you to do that. But it was, but they're always there, right? They don't go away. Like you can't unfortunately like be like, okay, time to download those and get those out. They're always operating there, but you get to decide how much bandwidth you're going to give them in your life. And it does. Different circumstances can amplify voices. But I know I always have to go back and kind of do an inventory and a triage of being like, okay, like I need to come back and take some stewardship, ownership of the way of my mindset. And so like, yes, while I was being playful with Cammie, and she said that, and I was kind of surprised that she said it, because I'm like, you've not heard these? You've not heard the inner critic on the outside? And I thought, well, maybe she has not. Good for her, sorry for her, like sorry, not sorry, kind of a thing. But no, so it's had me kind of pensively thinking about some things, and I'm like, probably time to sit back and do an inventory and do some work a little bit of work here. That's my dark moment. That's my sinner moment. So
I'll go both. I had a sinner and saint moment both show up last night at dinner, which was, they were both good. Really, but it was.
I feel this format's really screwed up my sinner moments, because now I'm very mindful, and I don't nearly stay as. I gotta be having a really bad day for me to stay in that. I'm like, okay, let's just lighten up a little bit, Patrick.
Oh man, so, we can cancel this podcast whenever you want. We can stop the show. No, we were at dinner last night, and my wife was asking me like questions about my health and medical stuff, and like I had all the answers and like had updates for her, and then I realized like I just don't share that with her. And I think a lot of it's because she faces her own medical challenges a lot, and which is ironic because like if you saw my wife, you would think, oh, that's a healthy person.
Sure.
Like that's somebody who really takes care of themselves, is really, and it's yes, but it's also like a lot of it's by, necessity by, problems. So I just tend to not tell her a lot of my stuff because I'm like, it's just taken care of. Like if it's newsworthy, I'll tell you,
right.
But it's not. So it's just like stuff that I just monitor and keep up to date on. And she's like, I'd like to know those things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I will try and be better about remembering to tell you because it's not even like
I'm not withholding it from you. I'm not hiding it.
I'm just
not
like, this isn't even news to me.
Cammy, we had a similar thing. And Cammy's like, why did you not tell me that? And I'm like, it wasn't me not telling you. Like it just was it wasn't a thing. Like it wasn't a.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and like update because several episodes back there was a problem with me and beef. And any beef that went in,
did that get worked out
quickly? It got worked out.
Good.
Yep, got worked out.
You stopped doing drugs. And
I did not throw up beef last night. But yeah, so
you sat here for the entire episode so far.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and that was even funny today or yesterday when she was like, "Are you okay? Like, are you feeling okay?" I was like, "I feel fine. What are you talking about?"
I'm wearing my adult diaper. I'm good.
Yeah, and I just put plug in. So if you cork it up, it can't kind of go out the other end. So yeah, I realized that I have been accused by many a person of being a bad communicator.
What?
And they're not wrong. They're not wrong because it's just, for me, it's all or nothing. Like I'm going to over-communicate something to you. Not mansplain, but just over-communicate. Or I'm just going to be like, it doesn't matter. Who cares that I have a doctor's appointment? It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be at the house anyways, so you're not going to miss me. You just think I'm somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really care where I am.
Right.
Like, and it's funny, too, because she is... You talking about Cammie, like listening to you observe those thoughts aloud. I will literally stand at the counter in front of my wife and eat lunch. 5 minutes later, she'll be like, "Are you going to eat? Did you eat lunch today?" I literally stood here and talked to you while I ate lunch. Like, you actively watched me consume a meal. And I'm all done. Good to go. Check that box. I'm staying alive till dinner. And so it's just funny because she's so unobservant that I think if I walked around and started talking to myself, she probably wouldn't even respond or think I'm talking to her.
Yeah.
She would just be like, well, there goes Butters. Like, so.
Well, and it's also that part of making sure you're telling. I mean, when you're communicating, that they're in the mindset to be able to receive the communication, right? Which is something I go through with couples when I tell them, I'm like, listen, don't interrupt, their sports game. Tell them something that's significant to you because they're not going to hear it, not because they don't care, but because they're not in that mindset of listening to you.
Oh man, if I had $1 for every time I did not listen to her and watch sports, I would have $6 this week alone. Like, guys with playoff baseball, oh my word, I have some money this week.
Yeah, because it's the same thing where like Cammie's been like, well, you didn't tell me this. I'm like, no, we did. We actually had the conversation here. And I don't know why you missed it, but
I've been on that side of it too, where I've been like, no, I told you all about this in detail.
Yeah.
She'll be like, no, you didn't. I'll be like, yeah, because
we did.
Even something as simple as the other day, I went and got hate chicken for lunch. And
what'd you say?
Hate chicken, Chick-fil-A.
Hate chicken.
Yeah, hate chicken.
Gotcha. I thought that was a new restaurant. I'm like, that sounds amazing. I can't wait to eat there, but not if it's Chick-fil-A. That's okay.
No, it's Chick-fil-A, but I got a $50 gift card to Hate Chicken, and was like, all right, I gotta use this now. So I tell her about this, and she's like, I said, hey, I think I'm gonna run to the store around lunchtime. I'm gonna grab some Chick-fil-A, and she's like, okay. And so 2 hours later, I'm walking out the door. All right, I'll be back. Where are you going? I'm going to go to the store.
Told you about this?
You didn't tell me about this. I was like, I got the gift card for Chick. Oh, yeah, we did talk about it. I'm just like,
okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. This is why we shouldn't work from home today.
So, same moment.
Same moment was, I actually, she got a little teary-eyed, which is not her at all. It's not like her at all. And she and her son have been having normal mom, teenage boy friction stuff. And because of some of her health issues, she didn't make all of his football games this year. And he was really disappointed by that. So I went up to his bedroom after dinner one night and knocked on the door, and I was like, hey, I want to just talk to you real quick. And he was like, okay. And I am, for backstory here, I am not a co-parent. Like, I've never been a co-parent. I'm his friend, I'm his cook, I'm his fantasy football advisor, but I am not I don't parent him in any way.
Sure.
So, but I went up that night and I said, hey man, you and your mom have had a lot of friction lately. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, and I get that you've been disappointed with her. And he was like, okay. And I was like, and I know that it's challenging sometimes because she can't be there when you want her to be there. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, but there's something I want to point out. He said, okay. I said, ever since I met your mom, her main priority is you. And I said, so much so, she is my wife, but she has your last name. She has always wanted to be your mom, not my wife, not your dad's wife.
Right.
She always wanted to be your mom. So when you start to doubt her commitment to you, think about that little thing, because she is 100% in, 100% committed to you. And I that was a few weeks ago, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to tell my wife this. Because, like, that's 50-50. I'm overstepping the parenting boundary.
Right.
Or I'm helping shed perspective neither one of them would have seen. And I was like, fancy date night's when I'm going to do it. So I waited for the right time.
Here we go.
Struck. But no, and she was very receptive and very appreciative. And she was like, thank you. She goes, because that's absolutely right, and he and I never would have seen it that way.
Right.
And she's like, so thank you so much for bringing that up. And she goes, when was that? And I was like,
you're like, whoa, this is where it comes off the rails.
She already saw that. And she goes, when was that? And I was like, it was probably 3 weeks ago. She goes, that's why he's been acting different.
She's like, that's
and
what
I
changed.
was like, he's in charge of his own actions. Like,
sure.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, overstepping a bound for love, I think, was my thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
My how'd you say that? What'd you just say?
Overstepping a bound for love.
Okay. I like that. Put that in a lyric.
Okay.
All right. We'll next take it on the road. Songs by Dan and Patrick. So my saint moment is I talked about how Kimmy is she operates in her head, so very rational, reasoning, not emotional, doesn't operate that way. That's me. I'm the romantic. I'm the emotional, whatever. I've talked before about like how I've been jealous that like you would just randomly dance with your wife and she would receive that, where Kimmy would be like, "Now this is weird. What the heck are you doing?" kind of a thing.
I've also been told to back down communicating with her. So like, you just say hi to me a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, so the other night I mentioned a couple podcasts ago that we were doing this weird bedtime music jukebox thing, and it's kind of just become a thing now, and I'm kind of riding the wave.
Yeah.
Where it happens now throughout the day, where if we're around, we'll just have our friend Alexa throw something on and whatever. So I did that the other day. We were both in the kitchen, and a nice song came on, and so I stood up and went over and danced with her, and of course she had heard the episode, and I mean, remember in it. Well, yes, it was she was forced to dance with me and tolerate it. She's let me dance her around the room like I'm stiff board for.
Better act like this, or
can't not
be
do
on the podcast.
Yep, that was exactly. But it was hard because I was like, I want to do this, but she's gonna think it's weird, and oh well, if she brushes me off, that's okay. I'm gonna not hold that against her. And but she leaned into it, and we danced, and it was not horrible.
There are times when my wife will want to be a little more present, and I always just feel like, well, something's wrong. Because
what do you want? What do you? What's going on?
I'll be sitting outside listening to baseball or something, and she'll just come by and like sit down, and like just like have an apple, and just sits there and starts eating her apple. Like,
And you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Talk? You've invaded my space. Is there a purpose behind
this?
And I'm fine. If she wants to sit there and just be, great. Sit there and be. I'm good with that. But I always feel like there's some expectation where I'm like, I'm not sure I know the score. So you just point me in the direction of the scoreboard.
A little unsettled here. I get that.
Yeah.
Who do we offend today? Bartenders that don't know how to bartend.
Bartenders
get your act together.
Any high school classmate I had who thought I was alive and willing to come to a reunion.
If I have high school classmates that are listening to this, I'd be shocked.
I would too. Even
I'd be like, "What the heck?"
Geographically, yeah.
Sorry you found this.
Yeah. Patrick grew up.
No, yeah.
Ben's still alive.
Yeah.
No, I think those are good enough offendants.
Okay. What'd you learn?
I learned that it's more a matter of like the boundary of geography that keeps you from going home to your reunions. Not that you're not interested in seeing people or connecting with people.
You're talking about me specifically.
Yeah.
You're not talking like general like.
No, you as Patrick.
Me specifically.
Patrick. And I learned that your wife is a bit of a bore while dancing.
She's working on it. We're working on it. I know you have been. I've learned that things are continuing to improve as you are continuing to just invest in your marriage and your family and learn and relearn and unlearn patterns and behaviors and communication in your space. That has been helpful to me the few times that we've talked about it.
Thank you. It has been.
It's always a nice mirror. And that relationships should always be a window and a mirror, right? A way that you see the world, but also a way that you see yourself. So you're a good window mirror for me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. That's high. That's how praise right there. High cotton.
I'll send you out.
Please do.
Yeah, I think as you go through, your relationships, regardless of family, coworkers, past ones, present ones, whatever they are, I think take all of them collectively, run your inventory through it. When it's bad energy, have the mindfulness to be a soft place for them to land, and not to be a repercussive spring that they hit against. And use those key relationships as the windows and mirrors by which you see the world and make yourself a little bit, little more saintly and a little less sinner. I heard this randomly somewhere. It was like at a store or something, and I was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
For a second, I thought, are they playing the podcast? And I was like,
"That's a dangerous."
I got real nervous for a second, and then just realized it was a song, and I was like, "That's really weird and wild."
You're like, "Wait, are we on?"
Is Ben recording here in this store?
Yep. That'd
have been great if you're like, "Hey, this is Ben and Tim here with," and I'd be like, "What the?" Or what if somebody else just completely stole our format and was like,
That'd be funny. It'd be funny until we got legal involved.
Yeah.
But then, I'd go for that though. If somebody was like, "Those guys are so funny, I gotta steal their format," I'd be like,
or we can do it better. They're like, "We can do it better."
Oh, that's how.
Like, yeah, you probably can.
That's how people become umpires. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Sinner and Saint Podcast, 55 episode. We will see you next week. Tell your friends, tell a neighbor, tell an enemy.
Happy Halloween.